Hello, divine, beautiful souls. This is Energy Speaks Podcast with your host, Catriel. Today, I want to feature a beautiful topic of discussion for today, and that is called Aura Soma. So, first of all, I want to say anyone who, after hearing this podcast, is really interested in learning more about Aura Soma, I will be having a class, a workshop at the Sunship, and listen closely. If you want to attend, it's only $22. There's a reason for that 22, because of the fact that it's part of Kabbalah. So, and that can actually link in with Aura Soma, which is kind of funny. And so if you're interested, listen closely, grab a pen or your phone and write it down. Reach out to me by text, please. 727-967-4540. Or my email, Kevin, Kevin, DEWITT 1107 at gmail.com. If you would like to know more information, you can also visit my Facebook, which is Catriel, Katriel, DeWitt, DE space WITT. There you can actually find on my posts more information about the Aura Soma workshop at the Sunship. It will also be on Sun Tribe if you look on there. But that is enough on the event. And let's get to Aura Soma. What is Aura Soma? So for those of you who have never heard of Aura Soma, I was gifted a beautiful being in my life. Her name was Judith. And I walked into Enchanted Spirits back in 2017 after seeing this flyer, and it captivated me. First of all, I'm an artist, okay? So I love color. So what captivated me in regards to this piece of paper advertising Aura Soma bottles, which I didn't even see what it was actually written. It was more of the power of what was in front of me specifically, is a picture of like hundreds of bottles with different colors. There were 2 different colors for each bottle. And I was like, what is this? So I grabbed my phone. I grabbed the pamphlet, and when I got home, I grabbed my phone and I wrote her name, Judith Hitchman. Zichron levracha, may her memory be a blessing to all. And what happened was magic. So I did not hear a response right away. 3 months later, I waited, and I received a text message, and it was from Judith. And it was her inquiring about the text that I had written, that she was going through some health issues, and that she was just reading my text. And so she asked me if I'd like to meet her at Enchanted Spirits one day. So, of course, I said yes, and I went to Enchanted Spirits, and there was a beautiful presence that day. I walked in, never had met her in my life. There was no picture of her, anything. So I walked in, and there's this woman sitting there on the chairs. I don't know why, but I instantly connected with her at a spiritual level. It was like we were already talking, essentially. And then I just kind of had I had a little bit of a idea that might be Judith. Didn't know for sure though. So I went up to the desk and I said, I'm looking for Judith Hitchman. And lo and behold, she already knew that I knew. And she had a feeling that that was me as well. And I sat down with her and she started telling me about what she did and a little bit about herself. And she tells me about these bottles. And so she has the same flyer that she had printed off that I had found and and texted her about. She pulled it out and she said, if you could take any bottle here that you see to a desert island, only one, which one would you pick? So, of course, I picked the exact bottle that she picked when she first picked her bottle. Bottle 39, the Egyptian 2 bottle. So, and that is the colors of violet and gold. I believe gold was on top. So I thought that was super interesting. And she said, you really, I could already, she's like, I don't know if you felt it, but we definitely have a connection here, especially you picking that particular bottle. I would love for you to come to my house and learn more. And I revealed, at that point in time, I really didn't have a lot of money and I could not afford, this particular endeavor because, it cost, more than I had to do a consultation. And she said, the money is not what I'm worried about. She's like, I want you to come. If you have a heart and a spirit for this and you feel connection, please come regardless. And so she asked me if I'd like for her to be my mentor in regards to Aura Soma. And I could not say no. I knew right then and there my life was about to shift and change, and it did. At that moment in time, I was married. I had been to Enchanted Spirits a couple times. I knew I had a lot of I had a lot of gifts, but I didn't really know how to use them or where to go with that. And I was, my granny had told me about the gifts she had, and my mom, her gifts. And so it was a thing in our family. And we acknowledged them. But we didn't really know what to do with them. So it was then where all of this started to open up. And I went on the journey of Aura Soma. The best thing that I probably could have ever done. Which led into me working with Judith. And then finally getting to a point where I was asked if I would like to join Aura Soma, to become a practitioner and do level 1. And so what level 1 is there's 3 different levels, okay? And so level 1 is associated with the primary color blue. And so then I started that journey. I said yes, and the financial, came through. And what I thought when it was, spoken to me that I was going to be in a class at her home doing Aura Soma, and that, a special being from England named Robert Brown was going to come and teach 2 weekends, back to back, and then a break, and then another 2 weekends to do all of, my training for level 1. So I get there, I'm nervous, and I always, had so many questions and everything. And I got there, and lo and behold, I was the only student. It was just Robert, Judith, and myself. And I knew that if Hashem literally allowed for this opportunity for me to be able to have not one mentor in Aura Soma, but 2 in a sacred space, these 2 divine beings, I better pay attention, because something is about to be shaken up and shifted. And I was like, okay, I'm paying attention now. So, needless to say, I went through that first part, level 1. Then the, financial came through for level 2. And 6 months later, I did the 2 weekends back to back. And then, a little break and another 2 weekends back to back to complete level 2. And then that is when I started to receive a lot of downloads in my art, where I had this idea of starting what you would call soul portrait. And I didn't even know what that was, because I was creating this and it was trial and error. And I had very supportive friends. It opened up doors for me. What Aura Soma level 1 opened up is it shifted everything. So I believe the door that opened everything is when I went to Israel. It allowed for me to be open to this gift of level 1. And then when I did level 1, not long after that, a relationship, my marriage, was not in alignment with the divine plan, and it shook things up. I worked with bottle 39, the Egyptian 2 bottle, and I will tell you, what these bottles do is they rid you of any energy that no longer serves you. And so if something's not in alignment, it will be shaken up and shifted for the highest and best, for you to be on your divine path. And so my marriage dissolved, literally. Also, during that time, right previous to that, my granny had passed away, which was a major thing for me. So my granny passed, my marriage, then after that, became dissolved. And then level 2 happened. And level 2 brought in what I was just speaking of, is these gifts coming in. And it opened the door to soul school for me, and a whole new community that I have very deep bonds of friendship with these soul beings. And then level 3 happened, and it just deepened more of my gifts and solidified everything. And so essentially, level 2 is associated with the primary color yellow, so solar plexus stuff, right? And then grounding that all in is in level 3, which is the red. So really what level 1 does is it opens you up to understanding what Aura Soma is. Level 2 allows you to apply within already knowing what the bottles are and how they work. Brings in numerology, brings in the tarot, astrology, soul connections, and so much more. It draws those connections to all of these different modalities that we already use. Ascended Masters, the elements, all of it. And then in 3, it's like your advanced course. It brings all of that, all of everything that you just built on. It goes even deeper, and it even goes into the Kabbalah tree of life. So, what is Aura Soma? Where did it come from? It came from England. And Vicky Wall was the person who created it. Why? So, Vicky Wall came from a Jewish family, ironically, a Kabbalistic family. And her father was a, what do you call it? Like a pharmacist, but with more so plants. I can't think of the term right now. But essentially, he had all of these different, tinctures and all these different things that he would make. And so Vicky Wall was around this like her entire life. Now, she didn't necessarily align with the Jewish traditions and in the religion, following that traditionally. But she did really connect with Kabbalah in the mysticism of Judaism. And so that brought her to really tuning in and centering and allowing for Hashem to give her the secrets of the universe. And she created her own tinctures in a sense. So there are, I think, 121 bottles now, because new bottles are created all the time. And so Vicky Wall has passed, but Mike Booth is the one who was mentored by Vicky Wall, who carries on her legacy. And what's beautiful about this is everything is pure. Everything is of a pure nature. So a bottle contains these elements, essentially. 49 crystals and herbs within these bottles, making up the colors, essentially. They are that, essential oils. There are half water and half oil. Where does the water come from? It comes from Glastonbury Well. And there is a long legend with Glastonbury that the Glastonbury Well, if you look at, depending on your belief system, but, you may believe this or not, but the legend, I'm going to go from that, says that if you're familiar with the story of Jesus, and Jesus came from a sect of Judaism that were known as the Essenes. And so they were very familiar with energy, and they were definitely the minority of a minority. and so essentially, his uncle, Jesus' uncle, Joseph of Arimathea, was the head of the Sanhedrin and had a trade route to Cornwall, England. We don't often think like, oh, how did, one get from one? They had boats, and it really was not that far. And so this trade route was near Glastonbury Well, essentially. And it is said that with this knowledge of the Essenes that Joseph of Arimathea took the etheric copy of the Holy Grail and placed it within Glastonbury Well. It's an etheric copy, okay? So it's not the actual cup. It's like literally the etheric copy. And so that is in the water, essentially, where we've seen many, many miracles happen with this water. Now, legend aside, if you believe that, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. We can go from facts. There has been many, many people that had many ailments be cured from this particular water. And so over in England, Aura Soma is practiced as if it were the practitioners were doctors, essentially. We cannot see that in America because it is different over here. But what I can teach you is the foundations and principles of Aura Soma and what was created within these bottles. And so, because there are 121 bottles now, I could never go through that many on here, and that's what the class is for. We'll be going through in the first class, bottles 0 through 21, going over the 22 bottles. I feel it's really important to go over 22 bottles during this time. And I'm going to also teach you other aspects of Aura Soma. One, how to pick a bottle. What does that even mean? When you have an Aura Soma consultation, essentially, what happens is you have 4 bottles that you're going to pick from I have 120 bottles. I don't have the new bottle, but that's okay. And what happens is essentially the first bottle is kind of like what Judith did for me, is you pick a bottle that really speaks above all the others. And that is aligned with your soul mission bottle. Your second bottle would be your challenge opportunities bottle, okay? Where there's going to be growth, right? Your third bottle that you choose is your here and now bottle. And your fourth bottle is your present future bottle, because you can have it right here, right now. And what I do is I hold the space for you. Well, one, we do a little meditation with other products of Aura Soma. The 2 other products that are, used alongside the bottles primarily are the polemanders and the quintessence, and I'll get to that in a moment. But what we do is we open up our chakras with the quintessence. We'll go to quintessence. Quintessence is essentially It uses different ascended masters based off the color to open your spirit, to allow for the divine to guide the process. And we do a little meditation with that. And these products, like for instance, the quintessence, you just put a little bit on your hand, you rub it together, and then you spread it throughout your aura, okay? Hence the name Aura Soma, which means light body, okay? And then after we complete that, you pick your bottles, and then I go through them with you. I go one by one, really feeling through why you chose that bottle and what feelings arise. I sometimes can talk a lot, but mostly this is not time for me to talk. It's really you connecting with that bottle and me holding sacred space for you. And if Spirit guides me to talk, then, that's how the energy is flowing. But this session's all about you and you processing what you have chosen. And that's the key, is I'm not choosing them for you. You are choosing these because your soul is choosing these. And your soul is trying to tell you something through these colors. And so as we go through each one, I then, take notes based off of what you did draw and come up with a plan. Like when you have a consultation with me, you get to take one bottle home, essentially. Now, if I don't have the bottle with me, I order it for you. Or, yeah. And so I do that for a reason, so that you're able to work with it, because that's the point. To work with the bottle. It's not to look at it and to stare at it. It's to work with it. And you'll be guided to work with it when, in that time frame, And so you put it on your physical body, and I show you how to use it. And these products are like this bottle is potent, and like I said, it shifted and changed my life, because it was bringing in the frequencies of what I am to really embody, essentially. And so this is very high vibrational stuff. Then after we go through your entire consultation, that's your base right there, okay? Because I can only do so much in one session. I close us out and bring us back in with the poleander. And what's really important is to realize that, once we open something, we close something down, right? Or we create this shield, essentially, for ourselves. And then I encourage, in the future, for that person to return back, if they connected with the Aura Soma, to do a second consultation. Why? Why would we do a second one? Because I can go deeper. We can bring in those other modalities of the tarot, astrology, soul connections, the Kabbalah tree of life. Those type of consultations within the second time, because it's not appropriate to do it in the first consultation. It's so high vibrational. It's something that I encourage after you start using the bottle, because then you're already aligning yourself to the divine, the divine plan. And it's just, honestly, it's too much information to take in at one time and not enough time to do something of that level. So that's why I always encourage a second consultation. That's, in the future. Not like a month later, like maybe 6 months later. Because you have to be able to integrate all of this information. And that's so important. And so, so this is literally the color of the language. And so I would like to actually pick a card here for us. What is our soul together? What is it saying? What are the energies saying in regards to a bottle? And I'm going to read it to you. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so I just literally picked from the middle of the deck and I got bottle 0. And it's the full card outward. Okay, so I'm using the Aura Soma Tarot. And it is, I'll get you exacts. It is the royal blue over deep magenta. And so it says the ordinary person who has the potential of development within themselves, who is embarking upon the journey towards the completion of that which the opportunity of life holds. It's called the rescue bottle. The spiritual rescue bottle. And it says, may help to bring clarity into one's feelings about one's life, to be able to see our part in the creative process. And so that is Aura Soma in a nutshell. Again, please reach out if you would like more information on where the class is. If you do know where the Sunship is, it's located in Palm Harbor, but I will have that conversation with you if you reach out. And it is on September 1st from 6 to 10 p.m. There will be food, and it's only $22 to join. And it will help, with this, I forgot to tell you the most beautiful part. Oh my goodness. So my mentor, Judith, passed away. Zikaron Levracha. May her memory be a blessing. She passed away in November of 2019. Sag season, okay? And for a year, I was talking with her family and different things and seeing how they were doing. And her daughter reached out to me and asked me if I would want all of her Aura Soma things, which is why I'm able to even have this conversation with you. I was gifted all of her beautiful Aura Soma healing tools, all the bottles, all of the polemanders, all the quintessence, all of it, all the books, her manuals, sacred notes, her Aura Soma Tarot. I was gifted it. And I was gifted it to use it to help others. That is my mission with this. I remember praying, after I finished, I said, oh man, it would be amazing to have these bottles. I tried to do it with the poster. It did not work for me. It was the bottles. And I knew it wasn't time for me to embark on that, doing more with it. And when she passed, I didn't know who the bottles would be gifted to. Her vision was for it to be at Enchanted Spirits, and it didn't necessarily work out that way. And I remember I prayed and I said, if I'm to have these bottles, then I am to literally be in full, let go, like just allow. And when Judith's daughter reached out to me, I knew that was a sign from Hashem that I am to go on this journey with Aura Soma. All the work that I had done. So grateful. I am so grateful. And so I have, at this class, I will have all of the bottles present. You will be able to look at them and work with the pole manners and the quintessence. It's funny. We don't actually open the bottles unless it's yours. And that keeps the sacredness of the bottle. And so it is my absolute honor to be able to teach this, because that is exactly what I was helping Judith prepare for her to do more of before she passed. So to be able to carry on her legacy is a gift, a divine gift from Hashem. And thank you, Judith, up there, and thank you, Hashem. So anyone who would like to join on this journey with me, please reach out. I love you all, divine, beautiful souls. Please subscribe if you are loving the content for Energy Speaks Podcast. If you have any ideas, if you'd like to be part of Energy Speaks Podcast, please reach out. Love you all, divine, beautiful souls. Over and out. Have a good week.